Section 3. Strategies for preventing and addressing antipsychotic-induced weight gain. The most robust predictor of antipsychotic-induced weight gain is the receptor affinity for the histamine 1 receptor and the polymorphisms for 5-HT2C. Almost all antipsychotics show weight gain after extended use, and the weight gain is more pronounced in antipsychotic-naive patients. So when you hear that an antipsychotic does not cause weight gain, do not believe it. It is in part based on clinical trials where people who were not antipsychotic-naive were switched from an old antipsychotic to a new antipsychotic, and the weight didn't change. This is not the way you judge if an antipsychotic causes weight gain. You need to look at people who have not been exposed to antipsychotics. Unfortunately, this effect is not clearly dose-dependent, so reducing the dose often does not really do that much. If you look at the meta-analysis in first episode patients, it becomes pretty clear, as I said, that only that patient group is a true test of weight gain liability, and in the short term, there can be very significant weight gain, and depending on the study, many pounds, which unfortunately often does not plateau, but keeps going up. There seems to be more weight gain in some Western samples, but I don't want to overstate that point. In addition to weight gain, there's also decreased insulin sensitivity that develops rapidly over the course of several weeks, and it is more pronounced with some medications like clozapine or olanzapine compared to others. Even though almost all antipsychotics show weight gain after extended use, they're not all equal with regards to weight gain and its consequences like diabetes. As a broad generalization, I would say there's probably no weight-neutral antipsychotic, perhaps with one exception. In many meta-analyses, ziprasidone really sticks out as one that does not seem to cause weight gain. You will find the occasional patient who gains weight on ziprasidone. We have two metabolically high-risk antipsychotics with a high risk for weight gain and diabetes, which are olanzapine and clozapine. Let me illustrate this point in a cohort study that goes back almost 25 years. Dr. Henderson took patients in a clozapine clinic in a community mental health center in downtown Boston. He just tracked who was diagnosed with diabetes. And 5 years later, 30% of patients in this cohort were diagnosed with diabetes. And it was this study that put the idea of metabolic monitoring as a core aspect of caring for patients with antipsychotics, specifically with clozapine. And that really matters because weight gain is not just a cosmetic factor in the cause for treatment discontinuation, also a factor for the high rate of cardiometabolic disease and deaths from heart attacks in this population. So metabolic prevention is really critical. And the way I think about it in a simple ABC scheme, A, choose wisely if you can and try and prevent weight gain. So avoid high-risk medications, specifically olanzapine and clozapine. Not always possible. If somebody is treatment resistant, you will need to use clozapine. B, screen and monitor to detect beginning diabetes. And you want to do this frequent enough. And C, prevent weight gain. Try to mitigate the iatrogenic damage that you're causing. You want to add behavioral management. You want to switch antipsychotics. You want to add prophylactic metformin. And you want to add weight loss medications. Screening, I think you'll recognize in your own little cohort that perfect is the enemy of good. I often get asked, how often do you really want to do the metabolic monitoring? I think for most antipsychotics, other than high-risk antipsychotics or for specific reasons, do it at least annually. In high-risk situations, you want to do it more frequently, particularly when you start treatment. But keep it simple, but do it regularly enough and accept non-fasting results. If you see through monitoring that somebody is gaining weight, the most effective intervention that you have is switching antipsychotics with the most benefit to aripiprazole or ziprasidone. I understand that this is not always possible, and this meta-analysis of 59 studies does not cover all antipsychotics, but it gives you a hint that if possible, switch to a lower risk antipsychotic. You always have the risk of psychiatric destabilization when you do that, but generally this seems to be a safe strategy. Switching is not always possible, and I think you need to consider proactive prescribing for weight loss to prevent or at least blunt weight gain and its metabolic consequences, particularly diabetes. Metformin is one of the more established interventions that we have, and the Irish Metformin guideline clearly states this. It suggests to use metformin early for any antipsychotic if you have significant weight gain in people that you started on an antipsychotic. Note that this is an off-label use if you add it to antipsychotics as a prophylaxis against diabetes, but we use it fairly routinely, particularly for people on olanzapine and clozapine. Metformin is a very old and safe medication. It does not really cause hypoglycemia, but you do need to be aware of metformin toxicity. Metformin toxicity causes nausea and vomiting, lethargy and abdominal pain, and in more serious cases, coma, seizures, and cardiovascular collapse. Lactic acidosis can be fatal. So you want to avoid metformin in people with active alcoholism and in people with renal failure, as metformin is renally excreted. The dosing is fairly straightforward. I usually start with 500 milligrams daily, and I go up by 500 milligrams once a week to a dose of 1,000 milligrams twice a day, or 2,000 milligrams total daily dose as the target dose. The main issue with getting to the target dose are GI side effects. GLP-1 receptor agonists are an interesting class of medications. GLP-1 stands for glucagon-like peptide 1 that stimulate insulin release in response to a meal, that decrease glucagon secretion, decrease hepatic gluconeogenesis, delay gastric emptying, and promote central satiety, the feeling that you are hungry. And this class of medications were originally developed for treatment of diabetes as a substitute for insulin, but is now increasingly used for other indications, particularly obesity. These GLP-1 receptor agonists had to be given as daily subcutaneous injections, and liraglutide was one of the first and early ones. Semaglutide became available as a weekly subcutaneous injection, and even an oral preparation is available. And there are even newer GLP-1 agonists like tirzepatide that have a more complex mechanism of action and that may actually be even more effective and cause weight loss. We're not quite there yet in psychiatry to use the GLP-1 receptor agonists as routinely as we use metformin, but I think that is going to be the challenge for the next several years to figure out how these new medications fit into our own armamentarium and whether we should prescribe them or we need to work with the primary care doctor or an internist. Sometimes I think people use topiramate because it does cause weight loss as an off-label for this indication. It may even have additional benefits for psychopathology. You want to keep the dose low because of concern for cognitive symptoms. I used to use this more frequently a few years ago, but have moved away from it just because of the side effect profile, and I do think that the GLP-1 receptor agonist would be a much more meaningful and better addition for people to be on. We really need to have a system of care in place where we can offer proactive medical management with regards to weight gain for our patients on antipsychotics. We are adding iatrogenic complications that may, in the long run, cause people more problems in terms of cardiovascular morbidity and mortality. But let's also be very clear that the worst outcomes that we see in schizophrenia are untreated patients. So just because there may be some problem doesn't mean we cannot use the medication. These are the key points. Any antipsychotic can cause weight gain, and proactively managing weight gain to prevent non-adherence and obesity-associated medical complications such as diabetes or obstructive sleep apnea is critical. Monitoring weight and metabolic problems is an important longitudinal management aspect. Prevent weight gain by using metabolically low-risk antipsychotics preferentially. Ziprasidone or one of the newer third-generation antipsychotics are probably best. If you have to use high-risk antipsychotics, particularly olanzapine or clozapine, the prophylactic use of metformin may reduce the risk of diabetes, and it is important to recognize that diet and exercise alone, while always propagated, may not be sufficient. GLP-1 agonists may play an important role in the future with regards to managing antipsychotic-induced weight gain.